Hello everyone and welcome to a new edition of Florida Memorial University's Florida Memorial University Today. I am your host, Michael Douglas. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we are taking flight, talking about the aviation program at Florida Memorial University. I have joining me today is Dr. Raymond E. Kane Jr. He is the Dean of the School of Aviation. We'll hear from him in a moment. But first, our focus today is about one particular student and his trek around the world. His name is Barrington Irving. He was originally born in Jamaica, but grew up in northern Miami-Dade County. A few years ago, Barrington came to Dr. Kane with an idea that he wanted to fly around the world, but he had to raise the money on his own. This past spring in 2007, Barrington Irving's dream became a reality, and here's some video of what happened on that particular day when he set out to fly around the world. Here comes Barrington taking off on his solo trip around the world for the Miami Aviation Center at Opa-locka Airport. On March 23, 2007, Barrington Irving took off from the Opa-locka Executive Airport, soaring his way into history. Well, South Florida, you are witnessing history as you see this plane that's flying in the air right now, and that is Barrington Irving, a student at Florida Memorial University, who is now on his way to taking off to flying around the world to become the youngest person to fly around the world solo, also the first African American to fly around the world, and also the first university student to fly around the world. So he's now going to make a turnaround and come back one more time. We're going to take a look and watch Barrington Irving as he prepares to fly around the world. Back on the ground, two young men who knew Irving before the world came to know him shared their thoughts as they witnessed their friend's dream of being the youngest person to fly around the world solo take flight. Keith Morin is an aviation major from Trinidad.
I met Barrington in the spring of 2004. My first interaction with him, before I actually started flying, he already had his instrument, or he was working on his commercial license. So he invited me to fly with one of his friends. But honestly, I didn't have the confidence in myself actually to go up in a small 172 aircraft and fly with anyone. So I kind of told him I took a rain check on the flight until I was confident that until he could probably have gotten his commercial license. So that's my first interaction with him. And of course, see him every day in the Lehman building, in Dr. Kane's office, pitching his idea about flying around the world, doing classes with Dr. Kane. So that's my first interaction with him as a student.
When you first heard his idea of flying around the world, what did you think?
I guess like a lot of us, it seems a bit far-fetched. It seems something that's so distant from any one of us, because you think, okay, Barrington is a young black guy just like myself. Certainly I would have never had certainly we have the idea, but to actually put it in motion and to see it come to fruition, that's a whole different thing. Whole different thing. So I'm amazed at what I saw today. I'm very amazed.
Matt Kinsley Cox graduated from Florida Memorial with his degree in aeronautical science.
Well, it says a lot about the quality of the person that actually raised the money on his own to actually accomplish. In this case, it's Barrington. So it says a lot about him being able to go out there by himself without much assistance and do something like that. It shows the quality of students that Florida Memorial has. I would be extremely hyper. My adrenaline would be pumping really, really high right now, because to do something groundbreaking like this, it's a extremely rare opportunity for any one person to accomplish. Like Keith said previously, Charles Lindbergh. Then we had the Tuskegee Airmen, who was the first minorities to actually have the opportunity to fly in the United States Air Force. And then we have one of the most decorated Tuskegee Airmen, Chief Alfred Anderson, who did this before, which was before my time. I didn't have the opportunity to meet someone of his stature. So now me being able to meet someone like Barrington, have a one-on-one interaction with him, I consider it an extremely rare and how to put it, a very rare and sweet opportunity to be part of this groundbreaking history. Maybe I might not be on his side when he's in all those pictures and magazines and stuff like that. But as an example to my son, my grandson, me being an aviator, I could say that I was part of that one opportunity that this person had to make history at that point in time.
Okay, again, that was Barrington Irving taking off on his solo flight around the world. Again, I have with me Dr. Raymond Kane, who is his academic advisor over the aviation program. We'll hear from him in a moment. But first, coming up, I want to take you to the day that Barrington returned from this solo flight around the world. We'll have that story and hear from Dr. Raymond Kane when we come back on Furthermore University Today.
Fine. Thanks.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Furthermore University Today. We're talking about Barrington Irving and his solo flight around the world. Now we're going to take you to some tape about what happened on the day this past summer when Barrington actually landed into soaring his way into history.
The drum line set the rhythm, and the moment this crowd had waited for finally arrived. After nearly 27,000 miles, Barrington Irving's solo flight around the world, which began in March, ended at the same airport where it began. His homecoming and the enormity of his achievement set everyone's heart to flight.
And what he's doing with all the kids out here, what he's doing, he's inspiring all of them. I mean, that was what I would love to do myself. So I think it's an outstanding feat that he's done.
Where Barrington Irving has just arrived after his long journey around the world.
Dr. Kane definitely has something to be proud about today as Barrington completes his journey around the world. What appears to be hundreds of people are here to celebrate his special day.
I see a very favorable future for him. He's certainly one who thinks out of the box and is a visionary. And so I think that we're going to see even greater things from Barrington in the years to come. And certainly since he's only 23 years old, he's got a whole lifetime ahead of him to continue to do great things.
Okay, now that man that you saw on the tape with that white suit on, he is here. It's Dr. Raymond Kane, who is the Dean of Aviation at Furthermore University. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Now let's talk about, first of all, with Barrington, and how did you meet Barrington, and how did you get him to join your program at Furthermore University?
Actually, I met Barrington about 5 years ago at a party. It was a Christmas party given by the Organization of Black Airline Pilots. And when I met him, he was working. He was working at the table, and he was taking care of some sundry items there. And one of our other students, Vina Simonet, actually introduced me to him. And she said, this is a young man who's got some remarkable dreams, and I really think that you should talk to him. Of course, we have the Flight Awareness Program, which is sponsored by the Air Force, which pays full tuition and flight training fees for students who are eligible. She suggested that I should talk to him about that program. Well, we began to talk, and one of the first things that Barrington said when I asked him, what are you interested in doing in life? He says, I really want to fly around the world. I want to fly around the world. And he said, not so much just to fly around the world, but I really want to bring attention to the opportunities in aviation, particularly flight, within those communities where those opportunities are not readily known. And from that point on, the relationship was established, and he actually enrolled that following semester.
I guess I should also note that once he enrolled and he started taking the classes, and then once he started pursuing the dream of, it actually became a full-time commitment. So he was trying to balance trying to raise money to, for the plane and plan out everything, as well as balance being in school and all the flights. How did he manage to keep the balance?
Well, at first I think there's a lot of crying and huffing and puffing and those types of things, and we spent many hours together in the office as he prepared his letters. He wrote letters to Oprah Winfrey and to Bill Cosby and to Coca-Cola and to Pepsi and to so many folks, telling them what his intentions were. He was doing flight instruction full-time. He was doing full-time Air Force ROTC, as well as taking classes full-time, plus all the other things. The miracle of it all is the fact that he was able to balance that. And I'll tell you, honestly, I don't know how he did it. It really served as an encouragement to me. And 3 years ago, I told him, I said, us adults have a lot to learn from you. And so it became sort of a team thing at that point, because obviously he had a lot to do, and this trip would cost him well over $1 million. And within the course of all of the other things that he was doing, he started raising these funds. And he got some very generous received some very generous support even from the beginning.
Of his supporters, were there some that you found kind of surprising that they would support not aviation in general, not just his particular mission, but you say, I never thought that this type of person would be a benefactor for aviation? Did you see any surprises there?
Yes. The one surprise, well, it was a surprise, but it wasn't a surprise. The level of his support has been astronomical, and that's Fabio Alexander, who is the CEO of Miami Executive Aviation. He has put countless dollars into this effort. One of the things that's wonderful about Fabio is that he's always had an interest in helping our students at Florida Memorial. He has hired many of those students to work in his facility there, and wanted to do other things to help our kids. Nonetheless, I was very surprised when he offered Barrington office space over on the airport. And this is a high-price office space. He gave him the first dollars to set up his learning center, as well as helped him generate funds for the purchase of his aircraft. Just so a remarkable thing that this gentleman has done for him.
I guess one thing we need to make sure we mention, let's say the elephant that's in the room. Barrington is not here. He was supposed to have been here for the taping, but again, he had to take flight for a particular reason. Why is that?
Well, Barrington called. We talked just a couple of days ago. He's in New York, and Oprah Winfrey has called him, and I hope I'm at liberty to say that we think that he's probably going to be on the Oprah show very soon.
Sometime during the fall semester.
Yes.